Namaste, everyone. Welcome to yoga, and we are practicing live here at Southport Congregational Church in Fellowship Hall, and I just want to welcome everyone to class. And I just want to let you all know that today we're going to be practicing mostly seated poses. So if you want to just start, get your mat and kind of bring it as wide as you can, and find a comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. Sometimes we like to sit so that we're over our heels in class. Sometimes we like to sit in easy seat or sukhasana, which is just a very relaxed cross-legged position, like so. Or other people might need to have their legs straight out. So take a moment and find what pose really suits you, with the idea that whatever pose you've chosen, it should really be easy for you. So you don't want to be distracted by it. So I'm just going to choose easy seat here today. And then it's always nice to be mindful of the way that you're holding yourself when you're sitting. So for me, I like to always bring my belly in, and that helps to support my low back. So there's a little bit of core engagement happening. And then the shoulders are drawn back just enough, so if you were to turn to your side, your shoulders would be over your hips. So here's an example of my shoulders forward of my hips, which is a little too far forward, or too back, which is going to pull on your hamstrings. So it's nice to get the shoulders over the hips when we start. And then it's always nice to start practice as well with just a moment of going inward and checking in with ourselves and clearing our minds. So rest your hands, maybe just with the palms facing up. And that mudra is just the gesture of kind of letting go, of there's really no work to do with your hands. And I also like to practice with my eyes closed, and that also turns the drishti, or your gaze, inward, and so that you're not looking out and distracted. Especially when we practice at home, we tend to look around and say, oh, I have to clean that later, or I have to do this, and you get a little distracted by it. So if we just start with the eyes closed and with a nice comfortable seat, and just getting a sense of your breath to start. So I kind of exaggerate my breath to begin with, right? And that just gives me a sense of how shallow is my breath today, or how deep is it today? Is there a rhythm to it? Or have I ever really thought about my breath at all, right? So if you're new to the practice, perhaps it's something that's never really crossed your mind, but it's such an important piece of the practice, because our breath really gives us that benefit of helping us to relax and message the body, right? That it's really time to let go and to relax. So in yoga, we like to breathe in and out through the nose. I always say to people, if that's not comfortable for you, at least just breathe in through the nose, and then if you need to breathe out through the mouth, that's perfectly fine. But if you can just practice breathing in and out just a little bit more deeply than you might usually do. So in essence, you're slowing down your breathing. So I'm just going to sit here in quiet. There's really nothing to do. We're just closing our eyes. And all we're doing together now is just slowing down our breathing. So you really don't even have to look at the camera. Just let yourself relax. Maybe to get a sense of your breath, you can bring your left hand to your belly and maybe feel the breath move into your belly. And you feel the breath leave the body, and you feel the belly kind of draw in a little bit. It's just like you're filling up a balloon. So you're breathing in, filling up your belly. And breathing out, releasing that breath. It's a great way to cleanse too. So anything that's been holding you back in your mind, or anything that you've been kind of stuck on or ruminating, see if you can just let the breath come in and just like clear out those cobwebs in your mind, and then let your exhale just take it all with it. So just releasing those thoughts. And again, just nothing to do but breathe. So can you settle into that really easy instruction? Nothing to do, but just focus on my breath. And maybe move your right hand to your heart. Maybe you notice how the lungs fill up. Maybe you feel just a little bit more connected, just with your hands resting like so. And that idea in our practice of connecting our bodies with our minds and with our spirits so that we feel more whole. Notice if you're holding any tension in your face. If there is any, can you release it in your own way? Relax your jaw so you're not clenching the teeth together. And bring like an energy of softness to your body, your face, your expression, your energy. And then just set a little quiet intention for yourself. So whatever's brought you to your mat today, maybe honor that in some way. And also you can just lower your chin to your chest in humility. Just being open to the experience of whatever comes up for you today as you move your body. Without any agenda, without your ego. And we'll bring our chins back to center. We can open our eyes now and just let our hands find the ground on either side of your body. And in yoga, usually when we lift something up, it's supported with an inhale breath. So just invite you now to keep your left hand down on your mat and float your right arm up to sky on an inhale breath. And on an exhale breath, let your right hand come back down and find the ground on the right side of your body. Feel that, feel into what you're doing. And then on an inhale breath, we're going to let the left arm open up to sky. And on an exhale, we're going to release that arm back down. And we're going to do this a few times till we kind of find our stride, find our rhythm. And we're creating that rhythm of moving side to side as we're also finding the rotation and the mobility in each shoulder, maybe all the way through the side of your waist. As you explore, just moving side to side, doing it your way. It's your practice. So you're deciding how much you'd like to lift that arm up, depending upon your body today. So we're always listening in. So my arm might come all the way up here, yours might be here. perfectly fine. That's what we work with. Not pushing ourselves past where we need to be. And then we'll bring that left hand down and we'll just pause. It's always nice to pause, take a breath, and release it. And then maybe open your legs a little bit more. So this next pose, we slide the soles of our feet together. This is called Baddha Konasana, right? It's also called butterfly pose. If you are working with kids, they love this idea of the feet coming together and the wings are your legs, right? Before our class today, we're just going to use it as a hip opener. And we're going to see how this feels in our body. If it doesn't feel great, right, there's always this idea of sliding a blanket underneath your sit bones. So you could just, lift your hips a little bit higher. It will relax you a little bit more. And we'll just keep working with that side to side. The left hand down, the right arm coming up on an inhale breath. And the right hand finding the ground once again. And when the hand finds the ground, let yourself feel a little bit more stable, a little bit more secure. So you use the energy of sky to reach up and to open up and to free yourself. And you come back down and you find the ground and you use that as a way to get centered and feel grounded. I'm just trying to let the breath and the movement just be coordinated. So maybe you can get that inhale and that exhale to last as long as the motion. And then we'll free up the legs a little bit. So we'll open them into a straddle, again, your version, and we'll give them a little shake. And we'll move into a twist now. So we're going to take our right hand and we're going to bring it across our body. We'll just rest it on the left thigh. And we'll let our left hand come behind the back and use that for support. And let the crown of your head just be over your tailbone. So see if you can feel that in space. And then take a big breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, twist to your left. And take about 5 deep breaths here. Let your mind relax as it makes sense of what you're doing. Let your shoulders drop down so they're not moving up by the ears, causing any more tension. And then come back to center and just pause with an inhale and an exhale. And then move your left hand over to your right thigh and slide your right hand for support behind you. Take a big breath in through your nose. And on your exhale, twist to your right. And as you kind of unravel your vertebrae and unwind here, let your mind do the same thing. So again, anything you've been holding on to too tightly in your mind's eye, can you give it permission as you unravel the spine to unravel some of those thoughts, especially the ones that aren't serving us. So a willingness to let it go is part of it. Come all the way back to center. Rest your hands on your legs. Take an inhale and an exhale. And then we'll help our legs come back. So I always like to bring my hands underneath my knees. That just gives my legs some support. And I bring my feet rather wide out in front of me. I bring my hands behind me, and this just gives me some support here. Then I start to windshield wiper my knees. So I'm dropping my knees to the left, coming up, and I'm dropping my knees to the right. And I'm just doing this a few times, just getting a sense of how my low back, how the psoas, each leg feels, how my hips feel. And then I can always add an arm, right? So I'm over to my left side. My left hand is behind me. My right arm can sweep around. And then it can come all the way back to the ground. And I can start over. So I drop my knees to the right. I sweep my left arm up and over. And I come back. And then I just kind of make it my own, finding my rhythm, my breath count. And then if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, the next time your knees drop over to the left, go ahead and push your left hand into the floor and sweep your right arm up and lift your hips up off the mat. Bring that right arm around and give yourself a nice big side stretch. When you're ready, have your seat change sides. Now the right hand will come down, the hips will lift, and the left arm will come around. And we'll change. Left and the right arm comes. And the whole time I'm doing this, I'm mindful of my breath. I'm not pushing myself past where my body's telling me to go, and I'm really listening to my body rather than listening to my mind and how I want a pose to look. And I'll just come back to center here. And I'll just again pause, so maybe just come to easy seat and take an inhale and an exhale with the eyes closed and just check in. And I'll continue with this idea of opening up the side body. So I'm just going to stack my left hand under my left shoulder. So I act like my arm is a table leg. Right, so I don't want it out here because I like my table wobbly. I don't want it in here because that will stress out my wrist, my forearm too much. So I want the wrist to be stacked under the elbow and the elbow to be stacked under the shoulder. And then I always like to give myself enough mat. So I kind of come forward a little bit. My left leg is going to stay down with that knee bent. My right leg is going to extend. So if I were on a balance beam, I would have my left hand, my left knee, and the arch of my right foot all on that balance beam. My right arm now is free to open up. So I take my right arm and I roll it open. I let my head hang back. And I just create some openness through the whole outside of the right leg, right up the right side body, and I take a little back bend here. And then I maybe see how it would feel to get that right arm to shoot out nice and long, opening up just a little bit more. My gaze can be in the direction of my hand, it could be at the floor. And then I can play around with lifting this right leg up, bending this knee now, and reaching for the top of the foot with my right hand. So I'm opening up through that quadricep, the hamstring on the right leg. And I'm taking my big breaths in and out through my nose. And then I'm placing that right foot back down. I'm working that left hand in until I feel stable enough to come up. And this pose is called side gate. Right, so my left knee is bent, that foot is behind me, my right leg is extended, my arms open up to sky. My arms come out at my sides. And then I breathe in. And as I breathe out, I'm going to let my right hand find my right leg and my left arm come up to sky now. I'm going to breathe in and out and get a nice stretch through the right hip, the right IT band. And I come all the way back down. I bring my right leg up once again, my right arm overhead. And then I can bring my right elbow toward my right knee and crunch in a little bit and release it. Do this a few times, again, depending upon how much energy you have today. And then I'll come right into all fours. So I'll bring my right hand down, my left hand, my right knee joins my left, and I'll walk my knees back until I can get my spine nice and long. And again, the wrists are under the elbows and the elbows are under the shoulders. I'm gonna make my spine round. So I'm gonna start with my tailbone. I tuck my tailbone under and I make a round spine here, moving it all the way up to my cervical spine and my neck. My chin comes into chest. And then I inhale, I lift the tailbone, drop the belly down, drop the chest down, and lift the head up, making the opposite shape. So we'll try that together. Exhale, make everything round in your spine. And then inhale, arch, belly drops, chest drops, and head lifts. One more time, exhaling. And inhaling. And then I'll sit all the way back over my heels and take a moment and just rest in pose of a child. My hips are toward my heels. My spine is long. My forehead rests down in the direction of my mat. And I just breathe and surrender a little bit here. And then I'll curl up like a rag doll. So I'm using my spine, so I'm stacking vertebrae over vertebrae. Come up to sitting, and then I'll change sides. So I'm gonna work on the second side now. So I'm gonna turn, and I'm gonna extend my left leg out to the side. I'm gonna pretend I have that balance beam, but now I'm using my left leg long. My right knee is bent. My right hand is down. My right shoulder is over my elbow is over my wrist. My left arm now leads the way, opens up the left side body. My head can relax back. My toes are facing forward, so just be mindful of that. So you don't want your toes turning out, but you want to stretch both the inside of your thigh and the outside of your thigh here. And then I'm going to lift up that left leg. I'm going to bring my left arm overhead. I'm going to bring it back up to sky, and I'm going to prepare to bend the left knee and find the left foot. Top of my hand, top of foot, and I open it up. Again, just to my level. So, you might come in, it might feel a little wobbly. Just be mindful of not taking it too far. And then I let my left foot find the floor once again. I sweep my left arm up and overhead, and then I do those crunches where I lift and bend the left leg, the left elbow, and I extend. And bringing it in and out and in and out. And then I drop my left knee, I come onto all fours. And I'm just going to sit back now over the heels for pose of a child. Slide my arms down by my sides and just curl up here. My hands can come to my feet. And then I curl up again like a rag doll, using my spine. And I sit up nice and tall over my heels and just get a sense of how that feels. Right? So sometimes it's nice to move the calf muscles out of the way. You sit down, you have a little bit more room there. You can move your left hand to your belly, your right hand to your heart. You can lower the chin to chest again. And just pause. And then I'll come back, so I'm sitting on my sit bones now. And I'm going to stretch out my legs, just one at a time. So depending upon how much stability you feel like you have, you're going to be lifting one leg up. So some folks like to have a bent knee with this foot down. And some people like to have the bottom leg extended. So just play around with that. You're going to find your right foot in both hands. And then you're going to open up through that right leg. You're going to take 5 deep breaths. Again, just working with that in through the nose, out through the nose idea. Releasing the tension on your exhales. As you find the tension, you're using the practice to release it, not necessarily hold on to it or judge it. Right? So you might feel a lot's happening in the back of this leg, right? And as a yogi, right, you're just mindful of that, and you're finding if it just means bending the knee and holding the leg here, perfectly fine. Again, it's what works for your body. We're going to add a twist to this now. So I'm going to take my left hand, I have my right leg extended, I'm going to take my left hand now and I'm going to bring it across. I'm going to hold on to the right ankle. That frees up my right hand, that arm comes up to sky, and then I open up into a twist. And then I come back to center. I hold that right leg and I just gently bring it back to the ground. And you give those legs a little shake because they might have done some work and they need to just be relaxed a little bit. And then I prepare for the second side. So I set up my right leg now, that's my anchor, and I'm going to use my left leg, I'm going to lift it up. So again, however that looks for you. I straighten into that left leg. Maybe I support it with a second hand here. And I feel the tension in the leg and I'm using my breath to let it go. I'm also not letting my mind get too attached to it. Right? There's more of a freedom or an experience happening rather than a judgment or a critique. And then I take my right hand now, so I have my left leg extended. I take my right hand and I bring it to the outside of my left ankle. Right? And that frees up my left hand now. So I reach up nice and tall with my left arm and then I spin that open and I take my twist. Now if you need a little bit more support here, you can drop your hand down. So that hand that's behind you, that gives you a little bit of support. And I come all the way back to center. And I help that leg find the floor. Give those legs a little shake. And I bring those legs in. And I'll finish with a little shoulder opener. Right? So we're going to interlace our hands behind the back. That in turn will lift our sternum, right? So the sternum lifts up, the ribs are right underneath, supporting it, and that gives space, right, for the abdomen and the diaphragm to breathe a little bit more easily. So I take my hands, I place them behind me, and I lift up and open, and I take 5 deep breaths. And again, I'm relaxing into it. I'm not resisting it. Come back to center. And I rest my hands on my legs. We'll just turn those palms to face up again. And then we'll finish our practice today just the same way that we went into it, with just some mindfulness and some breath. And that ability again to free the mind and to be willing to let go and to be in this moment. my left hand to the belly. Again, checking in with the breath. And moving the right hand to your heart, checking in with your heart. Lowering your chin to your chest in humility. And bringing your chin back to center. And we'll move our hands to our heart in prayer. And take a moment to pray together. Asking God for whatever it is you need to help you today. And our yoga practice just makes us more available to ask for what we need. Makes us more present so we know what we need. So whatever it is you need, right? So each day it may be a little bit different. And we'll open our eyes, and just want to thank all of you for joining me today in our just a little simple seated practice that we did today, right? And each day it will be a little different. So I invite you to try another class when you have some spare time, or just want a way to, be present and give yourself a little gift of yoga. So namaste.